I started playing when I was 3 or 4 years old. And it's a funny story because my mom actually had a dream that one of her kids was going to be a pianist. So I guess she dreams good. I grew up in a beautiful town. I just remember lots of trees. Every time you were home, there's always music in my house. We used to listen from classical, lots of folk music from Argentina, music from Europe also, rock and roll, of course. This is my very first piano teacher, Alejandro Hansen. I met him when I was 12, and I studied with him for a few years. He recommended me to go to the conservatory, but I still kept studying with him. He's one of my best friends, and we are always in touch, and we share music, and we listen to music. Even though I'm from Argentina, and people will think that everybody dances tango, everybody listens to tango, well, that's not true. I was playing at a restaurant in Argentina, and one day somebody came to me and asked me if I could play a tango, and I realized that I didn't know any. So I went home and I was like, I need to learn one, and then two, and then three. And then I got invited to play in a tango show on board a cruise ship around the world. I was in charge of the orchestra, I was directing and playing the piano. So that was pretty amazing for me. It was like a completely change in my career. One thing is playing tango as a performer, where people are going to be sitting, listening to you, and another completely different thing is to playing for dancers.
What we do here is Argentine tango. It started in the very last days of the 1800s and into the early 1900s. It's an urban dance from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and from Montevideo, Uruguay. There were no smartphones, there was no TV, there wasn't even radio. When people wanted to entertain themselves, they actually got together and made music and danced. You know, they had to actually create the entertainment. Around 1920, and largely through Carlos Gardel, the very famous singer and then film star, tango became popularized in films and people got interested in it all over the world. In the 1950s, when tango dancing fell out of style, tango music took a different route and it went onto the concert stage, and it became known around the world as concert music, as music to sit down and listen to. And because of that, it really stopped being so focused on the needs of dancers. Today, still, you go to any milonga, any tango dance in the world, and we're only dancing to recordings from the 1930s through 1950s. Emiliano Messiez. It was amazing from the first moment to get to dance to his playing.
She was like, next year I want you to present your orchestra, and we decided to call it Típica Messiez, which is my last name, and it was fantastic. It's a 10-piece orchestra of 10 musicians. That was a project that I would have never expected me doing that, and that was because of her. Even though I don't know anything about dancing, I just like to watch and try to feel like we are connected and we're trying to do something together, right?
He understands that he's playing for me, and he gets great joy and pleasure for him. You could look at this man and tell that he is having the greatest time of his life.
The first time I heard him, I said, who is that on the piano? And I was transfixed by his musicality and his ability to kind of fill that big space with his personality and this feel of tango.
I got invited to play in a very important show, which is called Forever Tango. That was pretty amazing. We play everywhere and also for big crowds and beautiful theaters. I also saw myself getting into the musicals. I composed that song for the musical The Guava Tree, which is the musical that I composed for Creed Repertory Theater in Colorado. A musical for teenagers that went on tour all around the US. That's why I also love doing musical theater. You can write from jazz, pop, tango, klezmer, like Bordello, or like things that I would have never thought. The Day She Ran Away.
Okay.
What is this song about?
In Bordello, this moment is that Sophie finally reveals to Raquel how she ended up in this world.
For me, Bordello, it's a perfect example because every singer will do it differently. Every musician will play it a little different. I also like to give room for improvisation. Yellow is the light, right? How is it?
Yellow is the light of a summer day.
Okay, so the melody would be like, yellow is the light of a summer day.
When a girl of 12 was sold away.
Bordello is a story about the white slave trade that happened in Buenos Aires from the 1880s to the 1930s. And it's about a woman who had been forced into prostitution, who was the only person who finally had the courage to bring this notorious organization to trial.
Begging for a place to hide, she fled into the countryside.
Tango emerged from the bordellos of Argentina, and it was men waiting for their turns with the women, so they were dancing with one another. So initially the dance was very macho, as the men are kind of working themselves up for the opportunity, and then later women were dancing with them.
The really, really, really cool thing about tango now is that I lead as much as I follow. No longer is it that just the man leads and the woman follows, that it's always a man and woman dancing, not at all. And the fluidity of that has made the tango community and also our individual experiences as dancers much, much richer than in a former time when the roles were much stricter.
It's kind of like driving a car. You have to be aware of the other drivers on the road as well as yourself. So the main thing I think about is the music. That's first.
There's musicians that come and go and they can play the music beautifully, but Emiliano just puts out so much of his own feeling for the music and his ability to communicate with the people that he's playing for, and that's what just puts him in a league of his own.